Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "My wife's sister tried to kiss me and now my wife is spiraling." As the title says, my wife's sister made a pass at me at a recent family gathering and I have no idea what to do. For context, I think my wife Jenna is absolutely gorgeous, but she has some really negative body image issues. This is in large part because of her sister Mary, who is very conventionally attractive, as opposed to Jenna's more unconventional but, in my opinion, striking beauty. Mary was a successful model until a couple of years ago and now works in the fashion industry. In our early days of dating, when I would tell Jenna she is beautiful, she would always say, "Just wait until you see my sister." When I did finally meet her family, she would randomly press me for weeks to talk about her sister, asking whether I thought she was more attractive than her, and so on. I always told her the truth, that I think Mary is attractive in a boring way, and that I think my wife is much more beautiful and interesting to look at. She would not let it go until I confronted her about how uncomfortable it made me and asked her what was going on. This is when she told me that she always had a chip on her shoulder about her looks because of being compared with her sister growing up. They fell into the classic smart one/pretty one dynamic their whole lives. She also said Mary had a habit of being flirty with all of her exes, and warned me that it would happen to me eventually. She then started sobbing and begged me not to cheat on her with her sister, to which I forcefully said I would never cheat on her with anyone, let alone her sister. I have been crazy about my wife since day one, and there is literally no woman on earth who could come close to her. I honestly did not believe her about the flirting at first. I assumed it was just an extension of her insecurity, but I was wrong. Whenever we get together with my wife's family, Mary always finds ways to touch me and make little innuendos or comments about me or my body. It is super uncomfortable for everyone, especially my wife, and I have called her out on it before. She will cool it for a while, but eventually start doing it again. It has been 6 years of this, and every time it happens, my wife is upset for days, and I have to do a lot of reassuring. On to the current problem. A few days ago, we were at my mother-in-law's birthday party, and Mary asked me to help her grab some things from the garage. As soon as we walked into the garage, she turned and pressed me up against the door with her whole body and started trying to kiss me. I immediately pushed her off and asked her what the hell she was doing. She started giggling and said she was just doing what we both have been thinking, and kept insisting, "You know you want to." I told her she was out of her mind and ran out of there. I went straight to my wife and told her we were leaving. The whole ride home, she was asking me what was wrong. I was not sure whether to tell her because I knew how much it was going to hurt, but I also thought that Mary would probably try to spin it as me making a move on her, so I knew I had to just say it. I told her everything and she cried the whole way home. For the last several days, Mary has been calling and texting my wife, doing exactly what I thought she would do, even telling my wife that I said she, Mary, was the hottest girl I have ever seen, which I had to assure my wife a million times that I did not and would never say, even though she believes my account of the situation. She has been a complete wreck the last several days. She is hardly eating, she pulls away from my touch when I try to hug her or just hold her hand, and she says she feels hideous and disgusting. I do not know what to do. This is the lowest I have ever seen her, and it hurts to see how much she is hurting. I have no idea what to do to help her heal from this. Reddit, what should I do? Update. I got a few requests for updates, so here it is. First, I want to thank everyone so much for your advice. It was extremely helpful and gave me a lot to think about. I am especially thankful for the folks who asked me how I was doing. I realized that I have literally never had a chance to check in with myself after these things happen, and I have actually been holding a lot of frustration and resentment about it all. I have been harassed for years, and it has either been brushed off or eclipsed by the impact it has on my wife. I do not blame her for it, but this has been a good lesson in me not burying my feelings feelings for the sake of others, even for her. I also want to clarify a couple of things that came up. Several people asked about how my wife's family feels about all this, and I explained in a comment that her parents are toxic and treat Mary as the golden child, even though my wife is a freaking neuroscientist, amazingly talented musician, speaks 3 languages fluently, and another 2 conversationally. My wife and her family are seriously the only people who do not seem to understand how exceptional she is. I remember meeting one of my wife's family friends and talking to them about her research, and they said, "Oh wow, her parents just told us she works at a university," whereas my parents literally introduce her as the family genius to everyone. It makes me so angry to think about how her asshole family has stolen her shine her whole life. She is literally a Renaissance woman, but all they care about is looks and money. Some folks ask me why I would ever put myself in a situation alone with Mary, given everything she has done. I have no good answers for that other than I never thought she would actually try to do anything. That possibility just did not exist in my head. I realize now that I should have seen this would happen eventually, and that I should have been less concerned with keeping the peace and more concerned with shutting Mary's nonsense down before it escalated to this point. Hindsight is 2020. Anyway, on to the update. The night I posted, I told my wife that if she wanted to try to repair her relationship with her sister, I would respect that, but that I do not feel comfortable being around her for the foreseeable future. I said Mary has obviously been deeply jealous of my wife her whole life because she is a hollow, ugly person whose entire value has an expiration date, while my wife actually has substance. I said that I think her whole family is toxic and has done nothing but put her down her whole life, but that only she can decide whether she still wants them in her life. I also told my wife that while I do not blame her for her emotional reaction, her insecurity is something that she needs to work on for our relationship to be healthy. What Mary did was sexual assault, and she has been sexually harassing me for years, but I have consistently put aside my own feelings about this problem because of how it affects her, and that has prevented me from getting the support that I need too. I told her that her reaction only serves to punish herself and me for her sister's behavior, and there is no reason to give her that kind of power. I also told her something that a commenter said that really resonated with me. The only people who have ever considered her second best are her and her family. Everyone else sees her for who she really is. She was crying the whole time and agreed that she needed to go to therapy to work on her insecurity. We were able to find a therapist who specializes in body image and self-esteem issues to work with her individually, and we are looking for a couples therapist too. My wife sent a message to her parents and sister that explained exactly what happened and told them she would reach out to them if she ever feels ready to repair their relationship. We blocked all of them everywhere, but Mary, of course, has been spamming my family and our friends with nonsense, claiming I attacked her, I am a drug addict, I abuse my wife, all kinds of bullshit that thankfully nobody believes. My wife is still down in the dumps, but I can see that things are getting a little better. She is eating and sleeping more, and she is cuddling with me in the mornings again, which is nice. Now I am planning a surprise getaway for us this weekend. We are going to one of our favorite places, and I am going to wine and dine her and try to make her feel like the goddamn queen she is. I want to thank you all again for your help. You really helped me understand the severity of the problem, and again, thanks for helping me connect with my own feelings about all this. Y'all are the best. Update 2. So I guess my original post got reposted onto TikTok and some other subs here on Reddit, so I have been getting tons of messages asking for updates. It feels like things are mostly settled, and I am really hoping this will be my final update. First, I want to say that I have gotten so many questions about who Mary is, and I am just not going to say. Suffice it to say that she has never been a household name famous, but she made a living solely on modeling for about a decade from what I understand. So she must have been popular enough that fashion people might know her. I really do not know how that whole world works, but in my opinion, it does not matter how many names you drop. You are not famous if you do not have a Wikipedia page. Also got lots of comments that jokingly called me a simp, and I cannot argue with that. I totally am a simp for my wife. She is the coolest. I hope you all find a love that makes you feel this way. Okay, I think that is it. Here is the actual update. My wife loved the getaway weekend. We had a blast, and by the end of it, she said she felt like herself again. For a few days after we got back, things were really quiet, so we were hopeful that Mary had finally given up, but I felt uneasy about it all. Many of you warned me that Mary would try to interfere with my work, and while I initially dismissed it, I figured I would reach out to my boss just in case. I have been working at the same company for almost 10 years, and she has heard me vent about Mary before, so I did not have to explain too much. My boss just reassured me that she knows my real character and would let me know if Mary tried anything. As you predicted, Mary did try to contact my boss a couple of days later, and the following is a recounting of what my boss told me. Apparently, Mary said that I needed to be fired because I was a predator and claimed to have proof that I assaulted her. My boss said that was a very serious accusation to make and asked Mary to explain what proof she had. Mary claimed there was a camera that caught the whole incident and that my boss asked her to send the video. Then Mary got flustered and said the police had it, so my boss asked her to send over a copy of the police report. Then Mary said it had a lot of private information in it, so my boss asked her to redact the private information and send it over. Then Mary said she did not feel comfortable with that, and my boss told her that she could not take action against an employee based on word of mouth from a stranger. Then Mary shouted at her about victim blaming and hung up. Unfortunately, that was not the end of it. Last Wednesday, Mary somehow sent an email from my personal email account with a dick pic to the entire office. My best guess is that I must have left my email logged in on one of my in-laws' devices. She is definitely not smart enough to actually hack me, and I know this is completely beside the point, but of course, she chose the weirdest looking dick I have ever seen. I played team sports all my life. I have seen a lot of dicks, and this was something else. It is honestly kind of funny to think about Mary Googling gross penis or something and sifting through hundreds of images to find just the right one. I had to apologize to everyone on staff, and thankfully folks were surprisingly understanding. It has actually been kind of a nice bonding experience with my coworkers. I honestly did not consider myself to be super well liked in the office, but it feels like everyone has been going out of their way to be kind to me, and it means a lot. Anyway, at this point it was clear we had to escalate things legally. I really wanted to avoid it, but she forced my hand. My wife and I have a lawyer friend who helped us draft a cease and desist letter outlining her continued harassment and the material and emotional damage this is causing us. My wife then sent a message to Mary and my in-laws with a copy of the letter and made it very clear that we would pursue criminal or civil proceedings if her harassment continued. My wife's mom then called her crying and begged her to just let it go and leave Mary alone. My wife calmly explained that Mary is the only person responsible for this whole situation, and that their parents have always enabled her awful behavior. She also said something she later regretted, but I think was pretty badass. Mary is going to stick you two in a nursing home and steal your money the minute she has the chance, and you deserve it. After the way her mom reacted, my wife is firmly settled on cutting off her family completely. This happened on Friday, and on Sunday, Mary's best frenemy, Anne, sent my brother a message on Facebook to say Mary is going to leave us alone and to please not sue her. I told my brother not to respond, then just sat and enjoyed the idea that Mary was out there somewhere freaking out about the potential of having to actually face the consequences of her actions. It must be such a strange feeling for her. Since then, we have not heard a peep from the grapevine. It feels like things are finally starting to go back to normal. My wife is starting therapy next week, and we will be starting couples therapy in a month or two. She wants to do some work on herself first. She is also taking a short leave from work to rest and recharge. I am so proud of her for standing up for herself with her family and finally putting her mental health and well-being first. Thanks again to everyone who offered advice. This was a messy situation, but it definitely would have been messier without your help. Update 3. I forgot about this account completely until today and logged in to see so many comments and messages asking for an update. It is honestly touching to see how many people care about this situation and want the best for me and my wife. This will be a brief update. I do not want to make this a regular thing, and the original situation has resolved enough that I am hopeful this will be the end of the saga. Mary and my in-laws have pretty much left us alone. My mother-in-law still tries to contact my wife every now and then, but she has made it clear to her family that if the first words out of their mouths are not, "I'm sorry," she is not interested in a conversation. As you can see, the past 6 months have made my wife a badass. She has done some amazing work in therapy, and her confidence is growing all the time. It is not just with her family, she is more comfortable asserting herself at work, with strangers, with friends, and so on. She has even stopped putting up with some of my nonsense. To be fair, that nonsense is stuff like my leaving my socks everywhere around the house, but I am seriously proud of her for telling me to cut it out. I am becoming a more responsible and supportive partner because she is able to communicate her needs and expectations without feeling guilty about it, and I am able to communicate things to her without intense emotions fully eclipsing the conversation. I did not mention this in my earlier posts, but my wife does struggle with rejection sensitivity even outside of her family. Often, if I brought up something that I felt needed to change, her emotional reaction to feeling like she did something wrong would be really intense, and instead of dealing with the problem, it would become about regulating her emotions. Now my wife has really good coping tools that allow her to talk about the problem without thinking she is the problem, and the biggest update, she is pregnant. We have a baby girl due in February. I am shitting my pants with excitement. We are going to love her so much and teach her that she is more than her beauty. She is going to have happy parents who love each other and work through issues as a team. The toxic cycle will be broken. Jenna's family does not know, and she is not sure if or when she will tell them, but if she does, there are going to be strong boundaries in place for how they can be a part of our daughter's life. And it will start with family therapy. For now, she has one set of grandparents that will go to the end of the earth for her, and that is more than enough. My family has been absolutely incredible in their support and is so excited for us. Things are looking better than they ever have. That is all, folks. Thanks again for your support on this wild journey. Update 4. I have come here for advice before and you were all incredibly helpful, and I could really use some support again. You can check my post history for the full story, but to summarize, last year my wife Jenna and I had to make the decision to go no contact with her whole family. Her sister Mary sexually assaulted me, her in-laws defended her, and after some legal wrangling, they finally left us alone. The situation wrecked my wife's self-esteem and tested our relationship, but we made it through. Jenna and I had our first daughter in February. She is amazing and we are doing great. We ended up moving away from Jenna's home state to mine to be closer to my family, and they have been incredibly helpful with the baby. We have not seen Jenna's family since cutting contact and blocking them everywhere, and we did not tell them about the baby. Yesterday, we received a letter in the mail from my mother-in-law and father-in-law. I have no idea how they got our address. Apparently, my father-in-law has been diagnosed with late-stage cancer and is being told he could be dead in weeks. The in-laws went on about how sorry they were for the way they handled the situation with Mary. They also apologized for the way they have treated my wife her whole life. They ended by saying they recently heard about the baby through the grapevine and want to meet their grandchild. To me, the apology seemed genuine. They went into detail on what they did wrong, apologized and expressed remorse, and explained what they should have done differently. They said they hoped to earn our forgiveness with time and were willing to do family therapy to heal our relationship. Jenna is not having it. She feels like it is too little, too late, and does not want to respond. She also suspects that they are lying about her father's cancer and just want to pressure us into reconciliation so they can meet the baby. It seems ludicrous, but I guess I would not put it past them. I want to respect my wife's feelings around this, but I am worried that if the cancer is real, she may regret not taking this opportunity for reconciliation before he dies. I expressed this to her, but she is adamant and I have not broached the topic since. My instinct is to wait a few more days until the shock wears off to talk about it again. I just do not know what the best way to approach it would be. I certainly do not want to force my wife to do anything she does not want to do, but I feel like she is not thinking clearly about this right now. It also must be noted that our baby is still struggling with sleep and we are both tired and emotional all the time. So I feel like this might be influencing how she feels about all this. What should I do here? Should I try again or just let it be? Update 5. Hey everyone, thanks for the comments on my last post. They were really helpful. Things have taken a disappointing turn, but we have some answers and we are working through it. First, my wife was right. The cancer story was bullshit. They were just trying to manipulate us. The same night I wrote my last post, I just let my wife know that I was here to listen if she wanted to talk about any of it, but that I would always support her no matter what she decided. She thanked me and I did not bring it up again. She had her therapy session and afterwards said she wanted to talk. She said she wanted to get more information before making any decisions. She reached out to a trusted mutual connection and asked them to discreetly find out if the cancer was real. They reported back to say my father-in-law appeared healthy, my in-laws are apparently planning a European vacation for August, and they are telling people we are going with them. The connection was also able to confirm Mary is supposed to go on this trip along with her new boyfriend, and that my in-laws have not told anyone about what happened with me and Mary last year. They just told people we moved away for work. Obviously, at this point, any possibility of reconciliation was gone. I do not think I have ever seen Jenna angrier than when we found all of this out. Just the utter gall of them lying about something like terminal cancer to manipulate my wife into forgiveness. I am still amazed that they would stoop so low, but it was eye-opening to see comments on my last post talking about how common it is. They even call it Christmas cancer. Some people just have no shame. Jenna decided to write a letter this weekend explaining that she knew they were lying about everything. She told them that they and Mary are essentially already dead to her. She has processed that grief and recommends they do the same. She also said that if they try to reach out again, the next letter they receive will be from a lawyer. She told me that writing the letter was healing for her, so that is one small thing to be grateful for. We were left wondering who told them about the baby or gave them our address. I am sure the address is not hard to find with public records, but we have been so careful about the baby. The connection we reached out to did not even know about her until Jenna called. We went over for dinner at my parents' place a couple of days ago, and Jenna started telling them about what happened. I noticed my mother averting eye contact and my heart sank into my stomach. I asked her if she had been the one to contact them and she just started bawling, saying she could not imagine never knowing her own grandchildren and just wanted us to heal and be a family together. My dad had no idea she had reached out and was shocked and disappointed in her as well. I went absolutely ballistic while Jenna sort of just shut down and got this blank look on her face. I cannot remember half of the things I said, but I ended by saying she would now know what it is like to not have access to her granddaughter, just like my in-laws. We took the baby and left right away, ignoring calls and texts from them and eventually my siblings. So now we are both feeling betrayed and heartbroken. Never in a million years did I think my mother would violate our trust like that. We are so close. She loves Jenna and the baby so much. My family knows exactly what happened with the in-laws. She cannot claim ignorance. Obviously, we are taking a lot of space from them, but funnily enough, Jenna is advocating for us not to be too hasty in cutting them off. She feels like my mom was not acting maliciously and is open to giving her a second chance, especially given she has been nothing but supportive of me and my wife until this. Somewhere down there, I know she is right, but it is too fresh and I am still so angry. We have asked for space from my family and they are being respectful about it. We will take the weekend to cool down before we figure out next steps together. Thankfully, we have this cute little chubby grub in our house that giggles and makes silly sounds, so it is hard to stay super upset or in your head about anything for too long. I know it is going to be a hard road rebuilding trust with my mom, but I feel somewhat hopeful that things will be okay in the long run. Thanks again for your help. Who's Your Cat said, wouldn't be surprised if the European vacation was really a trip to see the baby. Dana Vell said, why the hell don't people believe the kids who have actually had to deal with their parents' bullshit? To this, Dre Dreidel said, because delusion is the most powerful drug in the face of cognitive dissonance. To fully accept the faults of their peers, they would have to look inward as well. They may have to question their own parenting, their own choices, and the consequences of their own actions, and that is far too uncomfortable for many people to bear. Fries with Shake Booty said, OP's mom has to be older than me, and even I know not to force a reconciliation. It seems like pretty basic common sense that the way I behave is not the way all adults behave. I laughed when OP told her mom she would find out what it's like not to have access to her grandchild. Well done, OP. On a more somber note, this is the best decision. OP's foolhardy mother is just a step away from letting the in-laws secretly meet the grandchild. This second story was made in the same subreddit by another throwaway account. The post is titled, "My husband's new female friend sent a text that gave me the ick. Now I'm questioning her intentions." So I'll start by saying I'm generally quite a secure person and have never felt like I had any issues around this until I read a message sent to my husband yesterday, and I'm kind of spiraling. Sorry, this may be long. For some backstory, my husband does downhill biking. He's been doing it since he was very young, knows his stuff, and is out there every day. Generally, he rides with the same group of guys, but they mostly stick to weekends. My husband goes out every day of the week, luckily because his job allows him to. If he's out on his own and the dogs are free, he'll take the dogs. They love it. So around 6 months ago, he was out in the morning with the dogs and ended up coming home earlier than usual. While he was out, he found a girl who had fallen off her bike and badly injured her arm or wrist. As you can imagine, he's done the same numerous times, knew exactly what to do and where to go to get seen quicker. He got her to the car park, packed the dogs and bikes up, took her to the GP who referred her to the hospital, and then he came home. All good. Around a week after this, one of the guys he rides with sent him a screenshot of a post in a Facebook group that was made for people who specifically build and maintain the bike trails. It went something like, "I'm looking for someone called Husband who helped me last week when I fell and got me to the hospital. He drove a truck and had 3 dogs." She had posted in a few groups before being linked to the group for the trail builders, who my husband goes out with. My husband isn't on social media, so he said his friend could send her his number. She texted him to double check she had the right person. He said it was, and that he was glad she was feeling better and he was happy to help. She offered him money or to take him for lunch, which he declined and just said again that he was happy to help. They texted back and forth every now and then, her initiating, and it was mostly, "Hey, how are you? Hope you're well," etc. Once she started getting better and could ride again, it turned into, "Hey, we should hit the trails sometime." Now, without tooting his horn for him, he's very good. He used to ride competitively when he was younger, as did much of the group he rides with. Most people at the park know who they are, and generally, if they hear them coming, they'll just get to the side and watch them pass. He tried to decline her offer in a way not to offend her, but there's no way she can keep up with them. There's a section that's just big jumps to practice on. He says maybe next time he's on those, he'll give her a shout and they can meet up there. Eventually that happened and he gave her a few tips. That then turned into her texting him more often about biking, asking for him to tutor her, and just general stuff. This went on for the next couple of months and there seemed to be a friendship starting. I've never once had any concerns about this and was quite happy for him to continue, which he did. So yesterday, he went out with the dogs and bumped into her. He said they spoke for a while and went for a cycle with the dogs to wind down before he came home. She started texting him when he got home, and I could see these messages coming through the iPad as I was using it. To be clear, he's not hiding the texts. He openly leaves his phone lying around, has no passcode, lets our daughter play on it, and is happy for me to use it. He doesn't get weird or secretive about it in the slightest. He knows the iPad and laptop are linked to his phone, and it can all be seen by anyone using them. He has never given me cause for concern. It's her intentions I'm not too sure on at this point. So anyway, the dogs, we have 3 working gun dogs used in the fields regularly, and while they can look like they're running riot down these trails, they are extremely well trained and tuned into whatever my husband is doing. This becomes more apparent when he's not on the trails and they're following, watching his every move. These texts started out about the dogs for a bit, but then she sent a text which ended in the following: "Like a slave looking to please their master." Admittedly, I don't care for emojis and the texting shorthand people use nowadays. I don't even know what the face means, frankly. But something about this made me feel icky, and I feel like there's an undertone going on here. He replied, but seemed to ignore that last comment. However, this caused me to think back on her communication and feel like I've noticed a few red flags. She always initiates. If she doesn't get a reply, she seems to keep sending messages until he replies. Not once has she ever referenced or acknowledged the fact that he's married or has a family. Even when he mentioned that he's been away for my birthday or that he's going to our daughter's dancing show, she'll change the subject as if she's pretending we don't exist or to shut down any mention of us. She often makes excuses for them to meet up one-on-one. I'm sure there's more, but I don't want to scour through every message and feed into this more than I already have in case it's nothing. But am I crazy for thinking there may be something going on with her? I don't want to bring it up in case it is nothing and I look like I'm being paranoid. It just isn't sitting right. I'm also pregnant and the hormones are doing their thing. Should I say something or leave it and monitor this more closely for a bit? Or is this the effect of a 30-something pregnant mom whose husband seems to be aging like a fine wine, and any female he meets doing what he loves, being in amazing shape due to the hobby? Update. It escalated quickly, so my last post got a lot more responses than I thought it would. I wasn't going to post an update, but I feel like I owe it to all the people telling me to trust my gut. For those asking why my husband hadn't been more abrupt with her, in a nutshell, he always tries to keep the peace. I downplayed how well known he is in our town. He comes from a well-known family in our area and was a downhill rider in the UCI and features in various YouTube channels. People come here specifically for the bike trails, and typically wherever he goes, there's usually a handful of people who recognize him and want to say hello. It's not a huge town, everyone knows everyone kind of place. And like anyone, he would never want people to come away from any interaction with him with a sour taste in their mouth. After our daughter was in bed, I spoke with my husband, told him my thoughts, and he agreed she was being inappropriate and that he in no way did or said anything that would indicate he was all right with it. He hoped by ignoring it, she would get the hint and leave him be. He didn't want to make things awkward or embarrass anyone and admitted he probably should have said something. So after reading everyone's comments, there were loads of amazing ways people suggested shutting her down, which in hindsight would have been an amazing way to stop her in her tracks. However, he didn't want to ruffle feathers, so we went with the suggestion that we're starting to get ready for the baby and have lots to do and prepare and simply don't have the time or energy to be spent on the bikes or meetups, and he will be unavailable to her for the foreseeable future. He typed it up, handed it to me for my approval, and I hit send. Minutes later, his phone pings. I'm in the kitchen, he's in the living room, and I see his eyebrows raise and he just looks at me. I go over and he just hands me the phone. The nerve on this girl astounds me. She replied, "Okay, do you think we could meet up quickly tomorrow?" My heart sank, and I knew exactly what that meant. I burst into tears. In my head, this was the start of my world crumbling. My husband tried calming me down and asked me what I'd like him to do. Block her there and then, or ask what she wants to see him for. I wish I just told him to block her, but for some reason I wanted to know more. He replied asking what meeting up would achieve. She just says there's stuff she would like to talk to him about face to face. I felt like I was literally being punched in the chest and being winded at this point. He eventually gets the point across that he is not going to meet with her and drags it out of her. She tells him that at some point feelings started that turned into fantasies and that basically he could do whatever he wanted to her, that I didn't need to know about it and she would be happy to keep it that way. As she put it, our thing. It was more graphic than I'm willing to type. I felt like I was still keeping a level head until this point. I lashed out, got very, very angry, started crying uncontrollably. My body was vibrating with anger. I've barely slept. I woke up crying, felt like absolute shit all day today. I've already got in touch with our friends who run these Facebook groups she joined and asked them to remove her and make sure she doesn't join again. My husband replied last night and told me it's sorted and I don't have to worry about her. I didn't see the text he sent, but it's there on the iPad, but I can't bring myself to even open the iMessage app after seeing what I saw. It's not fair that someone thinks they can just do something like that regardless of how it's going to impact an entire family. Currently, I don't want him leaving the house. I don't want him to ever go back to the trails. I don't even want the dogs going up there. The fact that she has even touched my dogs makes me sick. So there we are. I still feel like my life's slipping away from me, like someone's trying to steal it. My confidence is shattered. My eyes sting. My head hurts from crying. I don't feel like eating. I don't think I've ever felt as low as I do just now. My husband's trying his best to comfort me, but it will take a while, I guess. He feels very guilty, despite me telling him he's done nothing wrong. I can't believe how quickly my life just changed with a stupid text. So thank you to everyone telling me to believe my gut, and to everyone else who took the time to comment. Edit, I just want to add, I'm not controlling my husband. I'm not holding him hostage. He had to take them out today. The bike park is almost in our back garden. I'm describing how I feel just now. Like it's a personal attack on me and my family, and I know this happens all over the world. My eyes were never open to it. This man's baby is about to burst out of my body. I don't feel attractive in any sense of the word right now. I feel I'm well within my rights to be a little distraught after seeing a text from a much younger, much fitter girl describing in graphic detail the things she wants my husband to do to her. So Very Sleepy 81 said, "Poor both of them, honestly. Poor OP, because honestly, dealing with this on top of pregnancy is not great. Poor her husband, because he sounds like a cool dude who's just nice to people and he got targeted by someone crazy. The good news is that it sounds like he's got a solid enough reputation if she tries to gossip or lie." To this user, Celtic Fire 28 said, "Yeah, the poor husband was just being a decent person and making sure an injured fellow cyclist got help. And his reward is a stalker who is clearly escalating. Sadly, if he had been a woman who helped, she most likely wouldn't have even reached out." Signata said, "I just hope this crazy girl doesn't start spreading lies about OP's husband." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.